Hi, friends. You know, I think trauma makes you lonely because nobody can relate to you. At a certain point, you realize nobody's going through what you're going through, and it makes you a very unrelatable person. But so does being autistic, and most of the times it goes hand in hand. I've met many autistic people who are also traumatized, and it almost seems like a package deal, maybe because of the sensitivity we're born with and, the world not seeing us or accommodating us in any way. Like, there's just a huge percentage of autistic people who are also traumatized, and it creates a really lonely experience of being alive. I honestly think that loneliness might be like the generational curse of my family, because my dad was autistic, although I don't think he ever knew that. But he always used to joke around saying, "No, I'm being abandoned. Like anytime me and my mom and my brother would go out, like to the mall or to the park or something like that, where we left him alone in the house, he would make that joke of, "I'm being abandoned." And I never used to get that, because I was like, we're just going to the park. Like, we're going to be right back. But I always think there's a little bit of truth to every joke. And I definitely think there was a truth to that joke, because I feel like he also felt lonely his whole life. And I didn't feel lonely as a kid, but I think as soon as I hit like 10, maybe around 10, like as soon as I became a person, I started feeling it as well. I didn't understand why, because I was always surrounded by people like most kids are, but it was palpable. And I think it's because nobody could relate to me, and nobody could see my experience or understand it because of the autism and the trauma. Lovely combo. So I started to self-isolate, because I was like, well, I'm feeling lonely anyway, so I wasn't good at connecting with people, obviously. I wasn't good at making friends, obviously. So unless somebody like reached out to me wanting to be my friend, I assumed people would just not like me. So I definitely became more and more isolated throughout my life. I thought maybe being in a romantic relationship would be the solution, because what happens in a romantic relationship, you get really close to one person and supposedly they know you and understand you and can be there for you. I got into a pretty serious romantic relationship, as you can see from this channel. It's kind of archived here. Recently, a couple of months ago, it ended after 8 years of being together. And I can say throughout that 8 years, I experienced a lot of loneliness, more and more so towards the end. After it ended, I kind of realized that, well, I know this person loved me, quote unquote, but I don't know if they ever really liked me. I don't even know if they actually knew me. So again, there's that theme of not being understood by anyone, not having anyone be able to relate. It feels like my destiny, honestly, to just be lonely my entire life. And it's weird, it's really weird, because I never feel like that in my dreams. I have very realistic dreams, and I have experiences in my dreams as if they're real life, and I never feel that way. And I'm always surrounded by people that I just don't feel like I have the disability of autism in my dreams. I kind of feel like I just exist. If you're autistic, maybe you relate to this. But when you drink alcohol, right, it takes away those autistic traits. I know a lot of people can relate to that, but when you do that and you become like normal, right, and you're able to just interact with people and connect with people, it really makes you understand what a social disability it is and how much you really can't connect with people on a regular basis. I don't really drink, but when I used to, in my teenage years, that's how I actually met my first 2 girlfriends. It's like through alcohol, I enabled myself to be normal enough to get those 2 girlfriends. But then I was still autistic, so I don't know. I drank a lot throughout my teenage years. I I don't do that anymore. But it was like putting a band-aid on a bigger issue, and a band-aid is just a band-aid. So anyway, this is kind of like my e-diary at this point. Like, this channel, if you've been here, it used to be a couples channel. Now it's just me, sharing my thoughts and things like that. I feel like this is the only outlet that makes me feel a little bit less lonely, because this is actually how I found my only friends. Like, I made 3 friends through this channel, and it's because I shared my experiences of being neurodivergent. And I specifically asked for people who are autistic to reach out to me so I can make friends, because I've never done that in my entire life. And it actually worked, because for the first time in my life, I met people who can relate to me and understand me. And it brought me to tears, like, so many times. Tears of joy, because finally I felt like, holy shit. It's almost like when you have the contrast of actually being seen, actually being understood, you realize how much pain you were in before, when nobody could see you and nobody could understand you, So I think I'm taking the steps to break this generational curse of loneliness in my family. I'm taking the steps by being open and being myself and not being a people pleaser and not trying to be someone that I'm not, just to please people, because they're going to leave you anyway if you do that, right? If you can't be yourself, then people can't see you, and the people you're going to attract are going to be the people who don't actually vibe with you. They just like what they see on the outside. So I try to be extremely honest, and sometimes a lot of people find me unpalatable, but that's okay. That's okay, because the right people will be able to relate to me, and the right people will find me palatable, and that's the only thing that matters. So yeah, I think the price of being extremely honest is a lot of people are going to dislike you. But the price of not being honest is that the right people won't be able to find you. Keep that in mind if you're a people pleaser. I mean, it's not just an autistic thing. I know loneliness is an epidemic at this time in our society, because of just the way everything works. But I think for autistic people, it becomes a pretty extreme experience, because we are socially disabled and we don't fit in with anyone. And we usually prefer to stay at home and not go outside, because it's extremely overwhelming to do so. And it's like, I want to have experiences and I want to meet people, but how am I going to meet people if I never leave the house? Or when I leave the house, I just prefer to be alone in nature, a couple of 100 meters away from everyone else. Like, I don't want to be around people, but I know that if I keep self-isolating, I'm never going to meet anyone. And that's a scary thought. Let's talk about that for a minute. Like, that's honestly a scary thought, because it's the reality for a lot of us. And, well, the only place you can meet people is online. And they're usually long distance. Which is, don't get me wrong, it's better than nothing for sure. But it still doesn't give you that feeling of community that human beings are wired to crave. And it's honestly so hard to find people who relate in real life. Well, my case is an extreme example, because right now I'm living in a place where nobody speaks English, which I will be moving, in the near future. But for the time being, like, I still live in a place where nobody speaks English, and I don't speak Italian. So I don't know, it's always a strange experience to wake up and realize, like, remember that, oh, I'm here and I'm all alone. Another day. Okay, cool. Another day to just survive this world. And I understand, like, the statistic of people who decide to leave early in the autistic community. If you know, you know. There's a high percentage of us that just don't make it. And I think social isolation plays a huge part in that. Huge. Because we're wired for connection. Like, that's a fact you cannot go around. And I think when you're children, you're kind of bound to a community. Like, your family is your community. Even if it's a dysfunctional one, like, at least you're bound to that. But in adulthood, we can often become so isolated. Like, it becomes such a hopeless thing. of trying to find connection because of the social disability of being autistic, right? And people not being able to relate to you and people not liking you, all of that, like, it becomes such a huge thing of, like, it's painful. It's viscerally painful. And, you know, some of us cope with it and some of us can't. And they leave. Which is really sad. I mean, there's other things that play into it as well, like trauma, depression. But I think all of those things are things we have in common. And honestly, I hate when people try to give me advice in the comments because, again, it's like, if you don't experience the world like another person, if you don't understand their experience of the world, your advice only applies to you. So, you know, unless I directly ask for advice, I'm not asking for advice. Don't tell me what to do, because you have no idea how far I've come in terms of, like, becoming better at surviving this place. You know, I've come such a long way in, like, making myself feel better, having this experience of being a human being. And you guys' advice, even if it's well-meaning, like, unless you relate to everything I'm saying, your advice is completely useless to me. Because, like, if you tell me to go outside and do something, it's like, well, you don't understand at what cost that comes for an autistic person. You don't understand how impossible of a task it is for us to just go out and make friends. Like, go out and make friends. Go out and meet people. Go out and volunteer. That's something I get a lot. Like, I'm tired. Sometimes, like, it takes everything just to make it through a day and do the most basic survival tasks. I don't have, like, energy to give to other people in the form of volunteering. And that, do you think that's going to lead me to connect with people? Again, like, if you're not, you will never understand what it feels like to be in rooms full of people your entire life and not feel connected to a single person at the same time. Yeah. I think that's an experience we have in common, and that's why we tend to self-isolate, because at least, I don't know, it feels like a little bit less insulting to at least be alone in your own room and have the company of the internet and the people of the internet. This is how I connect to the outside world. So let me know if you relate to any of this. I'm kind of tired of waking up sad. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of tired of waking up and life being a disappointment in comparison to my dreams. I hope that'll change one day. C'est la vie. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for joining me.